Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're strapping in for a vertical journey, really, into central Hong Kong. You probably know it as this, like, ultimate global finance hub, right? All shimmering glass and steel. But we're digging deeper. We're looking at five hidden historical stories that, well, they really define the place.
Absolutely. Central wasn't always just finance. It was the historical heart of Victoria's City, the colony's administrative core. And it's a place just defined by these intense visible contrasts. I mean, think about its geography. You've got the mountain crashing right down to the sea. That alone basically enforced social stratification from day one. Westerners up high, Chinese down below. The whole history, as our sources really frame it, is this constant kind of evolving spatial struggle.
Okay, so our mission today is to sort of peel back those layers. We're using five key historical stories to guide you, the listener, to five modern hidden gems. We want you to be able to visit these spots, these tourist spots, and really get a sense of the layers underneath the power, the resistance, the loss, the creation, all hidden right there beneath the skyscrapers. Okay, let's unpack this then. Five layers of history tucked away under the towers.
Well, we absolutely have to start with the ground itself because, frankly, most of the land Central is built on that. It isn't exactly natural.
Yeah, artificial feels like an understatement. The research highlights this process, moving mountains and reclaiming sea that shaped Central for, what, over 170 years?
That's right. And it was all driven by this almost obsessive pursuit of economic efficiency.
We're talking massive changes, right?
Yeah.
Especially that huge 1990s landfill, the one that made space for the IFC, the International Finance Center, and the airport railway station.
Exactly. So what that means, fundamentally, is that the skyline you see towering there today, it stands literally where the sea used to be. It's quite literally a monument built to efficiency, to wealth creation.
But that relentless push for progress, it came at a cost, didn't it? An emotional one, a cultural one. It seems like it really came to a head with the demolition of the old Star Ferry Pier and its clock tower back in 2006.
Oh, absolutely. That event, I mean, on the surface, it might seem like just knocking down an old building.
Yeah.
But it was profound, a real cultural turning point. It sparked these huge citizen protests, sit-ins, occupations. It went way beyond just that one pier. It really forced a critical public conversation about what Hong Kong actually valued beyond money.
So it sounds like that incident was a catalyst, fundamentally changing the local identity. People started to seriously question that habit of just prioritizing economic development above, well, everything else.
Precisely. And loss, in that specific case, paradoxically, it helped create a new form of cultural identity. It nudged Hong Kongers, you could say, towards becoming more culturally aware citizens, really concerned with conservation and memory.
Which brings us neatly to our first hidden gem, then.
It does. The Hong Kong observation wheel.
Right. So when you ride that wheel, you're actually sitting right there on that huge reclaimed plot, very near where the old pier stood. The wheel itself kind of symbolizes this constant cycle, sacrifice, and recreation.
And the challenge maybe for you as a traveler is to experience that amazing harbor view, not just as scenery, but as a memory-driven view, to really grasp that the land underneath your feet is this monument to efficiency, but bought at the price of collective history, of memory.
Okay, so if the harbor reclamation defines that horizontal struggle for land, what about the vertical? Does the city's extreme height show a similar struggle, maybe for status?
Absolutely. That challenging geography, the steep slopes, it demanded really innovative solutions. And that's how we get the iconic mid-levels escalator system. You know, Asia's longest outdoor escalator system.
An 800-meter structure climbing 135 meters vertically? Just wow.
Yeah, it's an incredible piece of engineering.
So wait, this isn't just transport. You're saying it's literally mapping out the social hierarchy, connecting the financial core down below, then moving up through cultural layers like Soho, and finally reaching the residential mid-levels up top.
That's exactly it. It's a physical manifestation of central social stratification. And the whole idea of upward mobility doesn't just move people physically, it moves them up the social gradient, visually and physically.
And the cultural twist here is fascinating. Its unique look, that linear landscape, it became famous in movies, right? Especially Wong Kar-wai's Chungking Express.
Definitely. In that film, it's used brilliantly. This structure designed for efficiency becomes this slow time tunnel. It creates this pocket of stillness, almost, letting characters observe the city's busyness, but also their own isolation within it.
So the hidden gem here is the escalator system itself, and maybe the whole Soho district that kind of grew up around it.
Exactly. We'd suggest you ride the whole thing, up or down. It's like a mobile city museum. You're passively guided past this incredible mix, old market stalls, trendy new bars, little shrines, bits of old architecture.
It really shows off Hong Kong's innovative spirit, doesn't it? Engineering a solution for extreme geography that actually ended up forcing communities together, creating this vibrant, unique culture.
Right. Now let's step off the escalator, metaphorically speaking, and head into the historical heart of another kind of contrast. Class. Specifically, the junction of Graham Street, Peel Street, and Gage Street.
Okay, so this area, this was the 19th century ground zero for what the sources call the Chinese and Western Blend Society.
That's the one. It was the boundary zone. Messy, vibrant, very different from the more orderly, purely Western colonial core nearby. A real transitional space where cultures collided, sometimes awkwardly.
And there's a hidden detail here. Something found behind the modern shops.
Yes, an incredible bit of microhistory uncovered by researchers. One of the oldest surviving physical remnants of Chinese habitation, dating back to 1879-1880. Just amazing.
And this connects to a specific person's story, someone named Wu Zhao.
Exactly. Her story really brings this era to life. She was a Chinese woman, labeled a protected woman, basically, the term for a local mistress of a foreigner.
Okay.
When her foreign partner married a British woman, which was common, he actually transferred property Inland Lot 104 right there to Wu Zhao. He did it through a trust deed, specifically to secure her future and that of their children.
Wait, hold on. So she managed to use the colonial legal system, a system designed to, enforce a pretty strict power dynamic. She used that system to secure property for herself and her kids.
She did. And that's why this story is so significant. It reveals how marginalized groups, especially women in her position, used incredible self-reliance and sometimes unexpected loopholes in colonial law to carve out a future. These are the kinds of stories often just erased from the mainstream historical narrative. It's resistance through ingenuity, really, not open rebellion.
That's incredible. So the modern link, the hidden gem here.
It's the very popular Graham Street murals and the nearby PMQ, which used to be the police married quarters.
Right. The murals are huge tourist draws, super colorful.
Yeah.
But you're saying the real depth is literally behind the paint.
Look past the vibrant colors, yes. Look for the remnants of the old buildings, the structure of the streets. That's where you can sense that 19th century stratification, the struggle of women like Wu Zhao, the whole mixed race culture the sources describe. And PMQ nearby just adds that layer of context about the colonial power structure that was overseeing everything in that area.
Okay, so moving from social struggles to something even more dangerous, political conspiracy. Central and Shenzhen were also a hotbed for revolutionaries, like Sun Yat-sen.
That's right. It sounds counterintuitive, maybe, but because the area was under British jurisdiction, it offered a degree of safety. It served as a critical rear base, a political refuge for late Qing revolutionaries plotting to overthrow the dynasty. Sun Yat-sen even studied medicine nearby, so it was an academic and political breeding ground.
And they operated in plain sight.
Amazingly, yes. What's fascinating is the sheer audacity. They used seemingly ordinary places, little shops, like the Young Yu Key on Gough Street, as secret meeting points. Intense political plotting happening right alongside everyday commerce, tea houses, street vendors, hidden right out in the open.
But that safety net wasn't perfect, was it? There's a darker side to these streets, too.
Definitely not absolute safety. Gage Street, which we just mentioned, holds a tragic secret. The assassination of a core revolutionary figure, Yung Kuan, right there on the street in 1903. He was gunned down by Qing agents. It's a stark reminder of the risks, layering political conspiracy and real sacrifice onto the everyday streetscape.
And the hidden gem connection here is surprisingly related to food.
It is, perhaps Hong Kong's most iconic food item, milk tea. Specifically, Lan Feng Yuan.
The famous place on the corner of Gage Street, the one credited with inventing stocking milk tea.
That's the one. So when you go there, when you taste that iconic local drink, you are literally standing on or right next to the site of revolutionary plotting and ultimately sacrifice. It's this incredibly powerful juxtaposition, everyday delicacy and hidden political blood. And if you want to connect that to the wider community's experience during those times, nearby on Taiping Shan Street, there's the Quang Phuc Yits. It's sometimes called the Temple of the Hundred Names. Established way back in 1851, it served the Chinese community, acting as an ancestral hall and even temporary housing for the sick or dying. It really speaks to the hardships and the communal needs of the local population during those really intense, volatile years.
Okay, incredible. Our final layer of history takes us to a street whose nickname tells its own story, Pottinger Street or Stone Slab Street.
Right, Sek Bon Gai. And those irregular stone slabs weren't just for looks, they were functional. A practical early engineering solution for drainage on that steep slope, and crucially to give people better grip, especially in wet weather.
And what's remarkable is that it still hosts those little vendor stalls, right? Selling festive decorations, costumes, odds and ends.
Exactly. That scene perfectly represents the resilience of the grassroots economy.
Hmm.
These tiny traditional stalls surviving literally right next to the giant glass towers of global finance. It's this irreplaceable urban memory, local commerce just persisting despite overwhelming modernization pressure.
And there's a spiritual side to this resilience, too.
Yes, alongside the commerce. It's fascinating. Despite being this, global epicenter of capitalism, traditional Chinese folk worship hangs on, providing these mini spiritual fortresses.
Like the famous Man Mo Temple on Hollywood Road, dedicated to the gods of literature and war dating back to the 1840s.
That's a prime example. It's this incredible island of incense smoke and quiet contemplation right in the middle of the concrete chaos.
Yeah.
A major tourist spot, but still very much active.
But there are even smaller, more hidden examples.
Oh, yes. Look closer, especially for the really localized worship. Tiny sites like the central Pak Kung Temple, a small earth god shrine. It literally survives squeezed between skyscrapers. It perfectly symbolizes how the indigenous community, the local culture, maintains its adherence to traditional beliefs, often in a very low-key way. The culture isn't necessarily discarded. Sometimes it's just compressed, embedded right into the modern urban fabric.
So the hidden gems for this layer are the Pottinger Street stalls and the Man Mo Temple.
That's right. And on Pottinger Street, those worn, uneven stone slabs, they give you this tangible, tactile connection to the past. You can feel the history under your feet.
And by linking the street vendors, that everyday secular commerce with the nearby temples, the spiritual beliefs, you really get the full picture. Central's unique blend. Relentless material prosperity, somehow balanced by this quiet, enduring tradition.
It's quite a mix.
What an incredible journey through Central. It feels like we've seen that the area shows what historians sometimes call nonlinear time.
That's a great way to put it. The past revolution, struggle, colonization, and the present finance, art, activism, they don't just follow each other, they coexist. Vertically, horizontally, all jumbled together.
Yeah, this constant juxtaposition, high and low, east and west, loss and creation.
Yeah.
That's what gives Central its real narrative tension, doesn't it?
Absolutely. It proves it's a dynamic, constantly evolving place, not just some static monument to finance.
So wrapping this up, what's the core takeaway for you, the listener, the traveler, the learner? Exploring Central isn't just about looking at old buildings or relics. It's about understanding how, in many ways, the city's loss became the foundation for creating local identity.
That's key. The demolition of the Star Ferry Pier woke up a native consciousness. The narrow alleys preserved forgotten voices, like Wu Jiao's. Even the simple act of drinking milk tea covers layers of revolutionary sacrifice.
Loss wasn't just an ending, it was often a beginning for something new in terms of identity.
Which leaves us with a final thought, maybe a question for reflection. The city, Hong Kong, is constantly making choices, active choices, between remembering and forgetting, between preserving and progressing.
So the challenge for you perhaps is to consider how much of this land's incredibly rich, complex memory will actually be transformed successfully into the city's future cultural asset. And, maybe more pointedly, what crucial piece of history, what voice, what struggle will be pushed aside and lost the next time Central inevitably chooses progress?